Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to today's explainer. I am beyond excited because, well, today we are basically stepping right into a time machine. We're zooming back thousands of years to ancient Egypt. We are going to explore the ultimate origin story. It's got a reluctant hero, a massive rescue mission, and a lineage of true ancient superheroes. Our main character? You guessed it, Moses. Now, you probably know him as the guy with the mighty staff who eventually parts the sea, right? But as we look really closely at the texts from Exodus chapter 6 today, we're going to see a very different, deeply human side of him. So have you ever felt too small to do something just incredibly important? It really makes you feel, well, tiny sometimes when you face a huge challenge, doesn't it? Well, imagine exactly how Moses felt. At the start of this chapter, let me tell you, he was not radiating confidence. He was deeply insecure. He felt like he just wasn't good enough, not eloquent enough, and definitely not the right person for a colossal task like this. It's something we can all relate to, right? But the true beauty of this story is what happens when someone who feels totally inadequate is called by God to do the absolute impossible.
Right when things looked their absolute bleakest, when the people of Israel were suffering under incredibly harsh and bitter slavery, God steps in, and he delivers what I like to call the ultimate pep talk. I am Adonai. This is massive, guys. God is telling Moses to remind the people of his unbreakable super promise, that covenant he made long, long ago to their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's basically saying, hey, I haven't forgotten you. I am the Lord, and I am stepping directly into your story right now. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what that promise looks like in action. God lays out an epic four-step rescue plan. Step 1, free them from the forced labor of the Egyptians. Step 2, rescue them from their bitter oppression. Step 3, redeem them with an outstretched arm and great judgments. And Step 4, adopt them to be his very own people. So it wasn't just about getting them out of a terrible situation, it was about bringing them into an incredible, permanent relationship. Now that is a true super promise. But here's the really heartbreaking part. Moses takes this incredible, hopeful message straight to the Israelites. He tells them all about God's massive super promise, and they completely ignore him. Seriously, the text tells us they simply wouldn't listen because they were just so deeply discouraged, and their slavery was way too cruel. They were so beaten down by the harsh reality of their daily lives that their spirits were completely broken. The hardship had utterly blinded them to the good news.
And this sets up a really profound conflict. On one hand, we have God's mighty mission, a divine, unstoppable command to march right in and confront Pharaoh to let his people go. But on the other hand, we have Moses' big fear. It's the ultimate contrast. It's a limitless creator with the perfect plan going up against a very relatable, insecure human being who is looking at his broken people and thinking, yeah, I really can't do this.
Now, what's really interesting here is the specific excuse Moses uses to try and get out of this. He says, how will Pharaoh listen to me, poor speaker that I am? Actually, in the original context, Moses refers to himself as having uncircumcised lips. He is absolutely convinced that because he isn't some slick, polished public speaker, he is totally disqualified. His logic is simple, but honestly, it's pretty flawed. If his own people are too crushed to listen to him, why in the world would the most powerful king on the planet pay him any attention whatsoever?
Section 1. The Superhero Family Tree. The Lineage of Moses.
Let's trace this epic timeline. It's like watching the baton of leadership get passed down through the generations. It starts with Levi, who lived an impressive 137 years. Then it goes to his son, Kohath, who lived to be 133. Next up is Kohath's son, Amram, who also hit that amazing 137-year mark. These guys were foundational figures in history. And finally, the timeline points directly to Amram's sons, Moses and Aaron, the deliverers. This lineage basically proves that Moses wasn't just some random guy pulled off the street. He was an absolutely crucial part of a generational master plan.
Which brings us to an incredible celebration. Amram married Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, who, by the way, the text notes was his father's sister, and together they gave birth to Aaron and Moses. This is the official high-energy origin of our reluctant heroes. And they weren't alone in this grand family tree either. The text makes sure to highlight their extended family, including cousins like Korah and Aaron's sons like Eleazar and Ithamar. It's showing us that God was actively organizing a whole network, perfectly positioned for his grand design. Let's move to and see how this builds. With the family tree firmly established, God issues the ultimate undeniable directive.
Against all of Moses' personal fears, and despite his huge anxiety over being a poor speaker, God boldly commands these exact two brothers, bring the Israelites out of the land of Egypt. He tells them to go face to face with Pharaoh. No more excuses. God has equipped them, and it is officially time for action.
Section 2. Golden Lessons. Application for today.
So the crucial point is summarized perfectly by these four powerful themes. First up, divine assurance in despair. You see, even when the Israelites were totally crushed and utterly refused to listen, God was still actively working. Hardship shouldn't ever blind us to God's ultimate plan. Second, God knows your struggles. He explicitly told Moses that he heard the people's groaning and remembered his covenant. He's paying attention. Third, faith over insecurity. Moses felt wildly inadequate, citing his uncircumcised lips. But God's grace completely compensates for our human weakness. And finally, God is our deliverer. By constantly declaring, I am Adonai, he shows us that he wants to be known deeply as a personal, actively rescuing God, not just some distant creator.
Man, what a truly epic journey we've been on today. I really hope this explainer brought the story to life for you, showing exactly how God's absolute strength perfectly meets our deepest human insecurities. So here is my final, provocative question for you to think about. What impossible task is God calling you to do today? And are you going to let your fears get in the way, or are you going to trust his super promise? Click the bell button, like, share, and subscribe.